Hi, this is Susan Clark, and I'm back today to do another episode of Let's Talk. Politics is on my mind these days, but also sport is on my mind these days. And so today I want to actually talk about both because I've been loving watching the Olympics. I've always loved the sport of it, the competition, the athletes, and what they go through to get there. But at times, I'll admit, it's been a little disappointing to me how overly focused, how much attention is paid to winning gold or just winning. But this has felt different this year. I don't know whether you've seen it that way. Maybe it's Paris, the city of love. Maybe it's that these athletes are coming off of the Olympics of COVID, where many of them are coming back. And in the COVID Olympics in Tokyo, they weren't able to bring their family, their friends, or connect with their teammates, give hugs. They didn't have people in the audience. But this time, what I've seen is a lot of athletes giving each other a hug, even after they lost, cheering each other on, lifting each other up. Sure, there have been some exceptions to that, but overall, that's what I've witnessed. And I really have appreciated that. And maybe, it's also that these are athletes and they know that they know about the fractures and all the hardships it took to get here and what's going on in the world. And they simply want to demonstrate something different. Now, having said all of that, it could also just be me. I know in my own life, I'm feeling more kind, open hearted, and curious. And so less fear and more in my loving. Even around politics, I feel better than I have felt. And partially, I think some of that's come because I really needed to find a way to connect and become more curious and have more dialogue instead of just scrolling through headlines and being outraged. And I've been finding ways to do that. I've shared some of them with you. The program I mentioned, Hearts, Brave Angels, excellent program about talking across the divide. I've mentioned that a couple times on here. More recently, I've just been totally engaged. There's a woman, Heather Cox, who writes a letter from an American, and I mean her letters are pretty dense. She's an American history professor, but she references everything she says. So, for those of you looking to see and fact check, you'll be able to fact check whatever she's putting in there to some degree and see if it fits for you. But I strongly encourage you to read her letter. I mean, I found it very engaging. And anyway, as a result of my connecting, even through this podcast, I have found that I have a little bit lighter heart about it. I don't know that it's going to turn out, but I'm even thinking maybe that's why I see the Olympics differently. I'm not sure. But it has been intriguing to me to watch sport be in display and see caring, joy, cross-cultural connections happening, all sorts of things. And then again, as I mentioned, either scrolling online or newspapers and seeing the rants, the raves, the raging, the blaming, the shaming that goes on in politics. Now, I do think ever since Vice President Kamala Harris has become the potential candidate for the Democratic Party, things have been churned up a little bit. It's a different game. There's an opportunity for change, and I'm really grateful for that. I don't know whether we'll be able to actually see anything different, though. It really does all depend. And I think it doesn't depend on the politicians. Sure, they play a part, but it really depends on us, we the people. And are we going to be talking and engaging and dialoguing? And what I mean by that is really it comes down to being able to talk to your neighbor about what their concerns are, be able to read something and go out and have a conversation about it. See, does this apply? What do you agree with? What do you disagree with? When I'm working with executives and coaching and teams, I'm often telling them, yeah, you got to know your own position. You got to know what you think. You have to understand how you put the world together. And then you really have to get curious, ask for feedback, and find out if there's more. And I think it's the same way. It's the same thing we need to do today with our politics. We, the people, have to get curious, understand how we put the world together, not just vote blindly for one party or the other. Go out, find out, have conversation. I mean, I'm so struck by how many people tell me, no, don't want to open up the subject of politics. It's just too difficult, too painful. Well, don't talk about who you're going to vote for. Talk about a particular issue that is important to you. Talk about why you care about it. Talk about why it's personal to you, and find out if that impacts or if it's any interest to the other person. Maybe they think differently. You don't have to just go down to who you're going to vote for. You actually can begin to discover this other person as you're talking about it. So I wanted to bring that message to you today because I think it's important. And just recently, I had someone come to my door wanting me to vote for somebody. And I'm pretty certain I wasn't going to vote for this person. But I decided, wait a minute, I want to be curious. What made you decide? And I asked her, what got you out here coming to my door to ask me about this? I don't want to hear about him. I want to hear about you. Why are you passionate about this candidate? And we ended up having a pretty good discussion. And I learned a couple things that I didn't know. And I went back and I researched it because I kind of had a strong opinion about a negative attack ad and found out that wasn't totally true. I don't know that it's going to change my vote, but I connected to someone, and that made all the difference in the world. And so instead of thinking of this political cycle as just getting votes or figuring out who's going to win, get to know and explore your neighbor. Get to know and explore the people around you in your community, what's important to them, what's not. Don't make a decision about how you're going to vote. You don't have to vote yet. That can happen when the time comes, and do it from your heart, not just because you signed on to the Republican Party or because you signed on to the Democratic Party or because you want to be a rebel or because you don't think your vote matters. Vote because you know what you think, you know what you want, you know what's important to you, and you've done the research. That's the work of democracy. So hopefully you'll engage in it. And remember, in the meantime, if you want to see something that's demonstrating some of the finest ways of being with people, watch some of the Olympics. There's some great stuff happening out there. Okay, take care. Bye for now.